Welcome to the Intentional Household Podcast. Today, we are going to be talking all about Today, we are going to be talking all about balanced eating. As a nutritionist and former registered dietitian, I realize that this is something that I have certainly taken for granted in my household. I have the knowledge and skills to easily feed my family without much thought. But I recently learned that this is not something that should be taken for granted. And many households struggle with determining what to feed their family. Alex, my husband, is training. He's doing intense training to climb the Grand Canyon. And that includes having to incorporate much more in his diet. When he suggested consuming more calories through zucchini noodles, I realized that we had a problem and I should be talking about the basics of nutrition so that everyone has an understanding just where to start and how to structure their meals and snacks. So today we are going to go over those basics. And I want you to keep in mind that this is just for general healthy individuals. This is not for high performing athletes. If you have a medical condition or any sort of dietary requirements, your advice or suggestions may be different. So I just want you to keep that in mind. And of course, if you're ever unsure, refer to your doctor or a registered dietitian. So we are going to be talking about the basics of putting together balanced meals, balanced snacks. We will talk about hydration, whether you should be eating organic food, and why screen-free eating matters. So let's talk about meals and how they should be balanced. Whether it is breakfast, lunch, or dinner, every meal should contain a source of protein, some sort of fiber, whether it's from a carbohydrate or from fruits, which also contain carbohydrates, or a vegetable. We're going to break down the meal so you have a very clear idea of how each meal looks. Whether you're eating a breakfast, lunch, or dinner, every meal you consume should contain a source of protein, a fruit or vegetable, and a fiber-rich carb. Let's get into why they all matter. So carbohydrates, yes, you certainly should be consuming carbohydrates. The reason is they are our main source of energy, especially for our brain. So whether you're an adult or a child, you should be eating carbohydrates every single day. Protein helps us to feel satisfied. It helps to stabilize our blood sugar levels. It helps to tide us over until the next time we eat. And it also helps with our immune function. Fruits or vegetables, they help us to consume the amount of fiber that we need every day, in addition to vitamins and minerals, so that you don't need to be spending money on supplements. You need to eat anyway. So choosing fruits and vegetables can help to ensure that you're getting the amount of nutrients that you need. So you have an understanding of the three components you need at minimum in every meal. Let's talk about the meals. So breakfast, again, you want to make sure you have a fiber-rich carbohydrate. You've been sleeping for many hours. Again, the carbohydrate gives you energy. So you want to make sure your breakfast has a source of energy from your carb, a source of protein, and a fruit or a vegetable. So that could look like a slice of toast with peanut butter or nut butter and banana. It could be yogurt with berries or any sort of fruit with seeds on top or a small amount of granola. The key there is if you're picturing fruit and yogurt parfait, you want that yogurt and the fruit to be the base of that meal versus the granola being the base of the meal, because that can be quite heavy. So just if that's something you're eating, being mindful of the structure that you're putting together. Also, something like avocado with toast and egg. And lastly, you could have something like overnight oats or chia pudding, which contains the oats, the chia seeds. You could put protein powder in it or a source of milk or milk alternative these days, which can contain a source of protein in it. You just need to look on the label to ensure that it does contain protein. Now we're going to talk about lunch and dinner. The makeup for lunch and dinner is the exact same. Half of your meal should contain non-starchy vegetables. 1/4 of the meal should contain a lean protein. So that could be chicken, eggs, lean pork, ground beef, nuts, tofu. And then the remaining 1/4 of your meal should consist of a starchy veg or a whole grain. So we're talking about brown rice. It could be sweet potato. Potato doesn't have a whole lot of fiber in it, but a potato with the skin on, quinoa, even pasta contains carbohydrates, and you can get a whole grain pasta if you want. But the key here is ensuring that half of the meal is made up of vegetables. So what I would do is put the vegetables on your plate first so that it fills up half of your plate and really make that the star of your meal to ensure that you're getting in the right amount of vegetables, which can really help with weight management. And then fill the rest of your plate with your protein and your carbohydrates. These meals should last you a few hours. And if you find that you're starving after a couple of meals, I would reevaluate the meal that you ate, reflect on it, and see what the makeup was and how you can shift it so that it is more balanced. And this is a concept to follow whether you are adults or you're offering meals to your kids. So if you followed along on Instagram or in previous podcast episodes, I have talked about how every dinner we have includes a platter of fruit and vegetables. So that is something we always have on the table, in addition to vegetables that may be cooked. So just trying different methods of vegetables so that it reduces boredom, both for yourself and for your kids. The plate method is what it's called, is something to strive toward, but your kids will determine, or they decide what and how much they eat. So if you can, at minimum, ensure that you're offering this to them. In our household, it's always family style. So having that steamed broccoli on the table, having that fruit and vegetable platter, having the chicken, having the rice, so that it is available for them and they can help themselves and determine what or how much they eat. As adults, as parents, we are role models. So everything my husband, Alex, and I are doing, the food that we are putting on our plate, they are watching us and they pick up these habits so that hopefully this is something that they will do in time as they age. If your kids are not eating this balanced meal with half a meal of vegetables, I would not stress. Keep in mind that this is something that you are working towards. It is certainly a work in progress, but this is not meant to be a forced concept nor cause any sort of stress for your kids or yourself. Offer maybe 2 different kinds of vegetables or a fruit and a vegetable that are different colors, and just including variety so that they can get those different colors and food options and nutrients on their plate. For children who are picky eaters and really only want to consume one food item, let's just say it is broccoli and they're set on that broccoli and they don't want to eat anything else, that's fine. Keep offering that broccoli because that is a food that you know that they like and will eat, but continue to offer other foods, again, with other colors, other textures. They will eventually get it, but do not make this a stressful situation. The meal is supposed to be an enjoyable experience. It's also meant to teach them how to socialize and just connect with the family. So continue offering those other food options. And if they continue to gravitate toward that one food option, that is fine. Let it be. Just know that in time, things will evolve. And who knows, maybe next month, their new favorite food will be cauliflower instead of broccoli. Things do change. If their diet is extremely limited and you're worried about whether you should be supplementing with other supplements, you can always reach out to your doctor to see if your doctor is concerned, if their growth is affected, if you're noticing symptoms, any sort of signs, or if they're not having, let's just say, even regular bowel movements. I would reach out to a doctor or a registered dietitian to see what sort of strategies you can do so that they are getting the nutrition that their body needs. At minimum, I would say every single Canadian should be consuming vitamin D. It's just not something we get enough of through the sunlight. And even if it's in the summer months and we are wearing sunscreen, the sun doesn't penetrate through the sunscreen. So whether it is summer or winter, I would suggest that all Canadians take a vitamin D supplement. So in my experience, most people can get the nutrients that they need through food. Food is the preferred method for getting the nutrients in our bodies. There are certainly things like phytonutrients that supplements cannot replicate, and every single person needs to eat And especially as we are aging adults, this is the time to be mindful of the food that you eat and truly be intentional about the choices that you make so that they are providing your body with the nutrients that you need versus in your younger years when the food choices we made may not have been as nutrient dense, but the repercussions there were not as great. Next, let's talk about snacks. Just like meals, snacks need balance as well. When you're putting together a snack, it should contain at least two components. So you want to make sure it has that protein source, like I mentioned, and a fiber-rich carbohydrate. Something like peanut butter and apple, even like apple and cheese, nuts and apples, hummus and crackers, a homemade muffin with nut butter or peanut butter or nuts, an egg, and cut up vegetables. The focus is really protein and carbs. One note about granola bars, which are a very common snack. This is personally something that I try to limit in our household with our kids, primarily because they're the opposite of what you want to be getting. They are generally high in sugar and low in fiber, and you want the opposite. You want to make sure that granola bar is a source of fiber and is low in sugar. When it comes to your food options, a common question is whether you should be eating organic food. The answer is no. You certainly do not need to be eating an organic-based diet in order to follow a balanced, nutritious diet. The term organic refers to how a food is grown or processed. It does not relate to how nutritious it is. So it is 100% possible to follow a balanced diet that is nutrient dense, that does not contain any organic products, while it's also very possible to follow an organic only diet that is not well balanced and not nutritious. Next, let's talk about hydration. The role of hydration is much more important and valuable than many people realize. Hydration impacts everything from helping us to digest our food, to delivering nutrients throughout our body, to helping us to remain focused and reduce headaches and prevent brain fog. It helps with temperature regulation. It helps to remove toxins from our body. It has a critical role, and many people are dehydrated all the time. So, how do you know if you are hydrated or dehydrated? Be mindful of the color of your urine. It should be a pale yellow or even clear color. When we wake up in the morning, it is certainly a darker yellow, but as you progress throughout the day, it should become more and more pale. Water should be your main source of fluid. For many individuals who do not like consuming water, there are many strategies that you can do. You can add a small amount of juice to the water to help flavor it. There are various water infusions that you can put in. You could try sparkling water and just having a water bottle on you at all times. For instance, I keep a water bottle in my car. I keep one next to my bed. I keep one in the office, and I keep one in the kitchen. So I always have a water bottle on the go. I just find that having the water bottle allows me to drink much more than a simple glass of water. Many people may ask, how much fluid should I be consuming in a day? It certainly depends on whether you're a male or a female and the amount of activity you are doing. But I would say for this conversation, at minimum, for females, they should be drinking at least 2.5 liters a day, and men 3.5 liters. At minimum, use the color of your urine as your guide because that is such a strong indicator telling you whether you're hydrated or not hydrated. One last thing about hydration or dehydration is that many people confuse the signs of dehydration with hunger. A great tip would be start your day with a glass of water, and before you eat anything, drink a glass of water. Screen-free eating. This is an important topic that I want to make sure we cover. As a family, we aim to eat meals and food away from screens. It is very easy to slip out of this habit when our kids aren't around and my husband and I are in the workday and we don't take breaks and we're eating our meals in front of a screen. The problem when we're eating with a screen in front of our face is that we're not present and we aren't focused on what we're eating. I personally can notice the difference between my enjoyment of a meal and the amount of food that I eat when I am sitting at the table without a screen versus when I am working away at my desk with a screen in front of me and I'm just eating away and can almost forget that I ate lunch because I wasn't present. So really take the time to take the break. Put the screen down because there aren't many opportunities during the workday when we aren't in front of a screen. So take that time to reset, put your phone down and eat your meal so that you are present and you're mindful of how much you're eating. You're mindful of your hunger cues because it really can prevent overeating. And whether your kids are present or not to witness you eating in front of a screen or not, we do want to establish these great habits for ourselves because we want to be the role models to our kids, whether they see us or not. One thing you may have noticed is that we did not talk at all about calories or number of grams you should be consuming of protein, carbs, even fiber. While this is certainly something that is important and you can talk to a registered dietitian about, again, this is meant to be a joyful experience. So if you follow the plate method, this can really help as a guide and a starting point to balanced eating and keeping it easy and stress-free. For anyone who's feeling overwhelmed and doesn't know where to start, I would say start small. Keep in mind that you're looking for progress and not perfection. So if you're someone who needs to work on your hydration, start by carrying a water bottle with you. If you find that you're not getting enough vegetables, try to include at least one vegetable with your lunch or your dinner. Try even a screen-free meal if you're by yourself. Tuck your phone away and see if you can eat that meal without your phone. Mindful eating should be simple and enjoyable. If you have any questions or comments or this resonated with you, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you.